And we are live. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Leicester City have just lost to Burton. Asterisk, massive friendly. We've just had the penalties just finished just about now. If you've got any thoughts, leave them in the comments down below. We'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. And yeah, we'll concentrate on some of the matches. We'll get onto the penalties in just a second. But if you've got any more thoughts, leave them in the comments down below. We'll try and bring them up on screen as we go. Anyway, so again, let's be real. It's a preseason friendly. Like, we've only been training for, I think, 10 days. So this was just a training match. I mean, I want to go through some of the players that currently played in this match, how good they were, or how good they weren't. Again, massive asterisk. It's a preseason. So what are you really expecting too much? So we'll go on to the first formation. Let me go to get the formation up from Mad About Foxes. As you can see here, fantastic like graphics and stuff like that as well. 4-2-3-1. We're looking at the likes of, we'll just zoom into this a little bit more. Yakubovic at the back, which I think had a great game. We'll come on to him in a second. Fofana, Soyuncu, Bertrand, Ricardo, Samore, Chowdhury, Madison, Manwahise, I think that's how you say it, or Manwahise. I always get a bit confused. We'll come on to it in a second. Ghazal and Daka. So I have them lot. For all that you are watching, for all of you who are watching, which one do you think, who impressed you in the first half? Again, it's a preseason game, so we can't expect too much, all things considered. But for me, Daka really impressed in terms of, again, they're still coming back. They're still only 10 days in. Burton have a squad that have been playing, I think they have fourth preseason game now, so they're getting into the full flow of stuff. And overall, they were the better team and they deserve to win. Again, it's a preseason game. I'm going to keep saying that because it makes such a big difference. However, one thing I noticed right at the beginning, Ricardo was captain. I mean, that was a strange one. Looking at all the players that were playing at that time, this formation, it made sense. I mean, he's the person with the most, I would say him or Madison were the people with the most experience. And so in that factor, he deserves to have it. I was surprised just considering the nature of the injury and how the injury turned out. But again, quite good. We take that back four. So we look at the likes of Ricardo. Didn't do anything too great. Again, it's preseason, so we're not looking too much into this. But he didn't get the Ricardo that we know defensively was there, but maybe running forward he wasn't as prepared, or he knew that Ghazal was there in that position, so he wasn't bombing down the wings like we saw more in the second half, which we'll get onto as well. Aaron says, just looking at the terrible penalty shootout. Yeah, I mean, we'll come on to that towards the end of the stream, but again, it's not something they prepared for. We should be doing better than that. We'll get into the individual penalties as we go along as well. Anyway. So, yeah, Ricardo on that right was not bad. It was the first time actually seeing Ryan Bertrand as well. I think he didn't do too bad. I think he marshaled the back line. He didn't marshal the back line, but he held his position quite well. I think he probably instructed them to not go and bomb on forward a lot more, to hold his position right there on that left-hand side and just protect the back line. Because bearing in mind, Soyuncu and Fofana as a back two is a lot. And we noticed just from them two, I mean, they needed Johnny Evans to lead them and tell them where to go. Yes, we are playing against the Burton side, which aren't as good quality, but overall, you're thinking what's happening on that left-hand side. At the same time, we're looking at in the middle of the park. Both of them looked a bit lost, to be perfectly honest with you. It's something that we've seen with Turkey, with Soyuncu. He's not really that leadership type. You're looking at Fofana, who didn't have a bad game altogether as well. In that centre back position, did okay. Not going to pull up any roots and any trees. Nothing really to comment on back there. And then we'll move on to Hamza Chowdhury. Again, didn't really do anything in my opinion. Positive or negative, I think him alongside Samore playing as kind of this double pivot, kind of what you've seen with England with Rice and with Phillips. So kind of a similar thing there. Both weren't doing too badly. Chowdhury, again, to be fair, went missing for the amount of time. Samore, I think, was quite impressive. I think some of his ability to switch play is something that really impressed me. We know that he's got the physicality, and his first touch is actually quite good. Something that I realised as well. His first touch, getting the ball out of his feet, getting past the player. He wasn't bombing past players like we saw in the in the game in the other games before. Sorry if my camera's a bit blurry. I think I don't know why it's doing that without turning off the camera. But Samore, I think that he's a really talented player. Again, it's the first season, it's the first game in, so we can't really tell too much. But what have I got in my notes? I think so he switched the play really well. He defended very, very resolutely. He's huge. He's really big for this Leicester squad as well. I know we've generally got smaller players. And there's another person, Destalker. I will come on to your comment in just a second as well. But yeah, overall, it wasn't a bad performance. James Maddison didn't really do anything, to be honest. Didn't do anything that was impressed. I mean, maybe that knock at 10 minutes really hurt him or something, but he didn't really pull up any routes. But the main one I want to talk about is obviously Samori and how well he did in that position. I think the way that he went about doing things was fantastic, in my opinion. The way that he went about getting the ball, holding on to it, taking a touch, moving past the player a little bit, and then giving the ball on. I think the more confidence he'll get, he will go and he will move past the player and go forward. I've seen a lot of you talk about penalties. Again, I will come to your comments in terms of penalties towards the end of the stream, because we always go from the beginning and then we work towards the end. So yeah. Overall, so looking at that, James Maddison didn't really do anything. Something that you've put on at the moment. Let me find the comment. Destalker says, "Me standout player in the first half with number 17. His name was Manwahise. Manwahise. I think that's how you pronounce his name. However, let's have a look at. I'll get again just for you to let you know. I'll bring up the Mad About Foxes again. Awesome little plug there. But yes, so." Manuel, he's on that left-hand side. He was the number 17. Gazelle didn't really do anything. He's probably going to go to Turkey. I think either Besiktas or Galatasaray from the looks of it as well. And on this side here, Manuel, I think he did quite well. Bearing in mind, I didn't hear of him before this match. He was one of the players that he's not even in the under-23, he's in the under-18s. I think they were mentioning in commentary, he's got 1 goal and 6 assists, which is not too bad. Also, Harbit Mova, I'll get to your comment in just a second. Let me just clear up this one. But yeah, he wasn't too bad. He was taking some good touches. He was running backwards a lot of the time. He was taking on plays. He was getting in some good positions, and maybe that's a person we could utilize on that side, especially when we look at the likes of the Europa League and other games performances like that. But anyway, let's get to Heartbeat. He's commented the same thing twice as well. What about Daka? I think Daka, I mean, he surprised me, I know I've been hyping him a lot. You've seen the videos that I've done on him. If you have already, I mean, make sure to go and check them out if you haven't done so far, because again, we know there's a talented player. However, this is preseason. Anything is possible at the moment. Hello today, Kante. Hope you're doing well, mate. If you check out our video, we've done an interview with him on the channel as well. So make sure you check that out after this video. But Manwahisi was pretty good. Daka, coming back to it, was fantastic in my opinion. He reminds me a lot of Vardy, and I know it's one thing to see the highlights and one thing to see the 16-minute YouTube compilations in Austria where there's loads and loads of space. I think he learned today he was bullied off the ball a little bit more. The physicality, even against somebody like Burton, was a bit obvious to see. And he was pushed off the ball a little bit more. And this is something that I said in my, just before we signed him, I was like, he needs to physically bulk up a little bit more, just like Harvey Barnes did. I'm surprised we didn't see him today, to be honest. I don't know if they're resting or something, but there's probably a reason why we didn't see him, because especially in that second half, he probably would have preferred to play. But yeah, in the first half, nothing really to shout about. Jakupovic, considering he plays barely any football, fantastic in my opinion. We didn't have a shot on target, but we conceded a few of them. But when he was called upon, Jakupovic was there, and that's something that we say about Kasper Schmeichel game in, game out, that he doesn't have a lot to do, but when he's called upon, he sorts it out. And I thought he did pretty good at that. In terms of the way we played, can't really confirm it too much. However, just getting to your comments again, there's comments about the second half, which I will get to in a second. Dear Canterbury, Dako used to get the pressure and rigors of English football. Soon it's just beginning. Exactly. But what I was really impressed with him is his pressing. His pressing and the pace that he has. Oh my God. We know this from just speaking to some journalists that have followed him, or speaking to some of the Zambian fans. They're really excited. His finishing wasn't there because he just didn't get the opportunities to, but he was bullied off the ball a little bit too much. That's not too much of a criticism because it's pre-season. It's the first game in. However, would I have liked to win this? Absolutely. We want to create, as Brendan Rodgers has said, create that winning mentality from the minute one. And again, it's a pre-season game. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Anyway, We've done the first half, then we moved on to the second half, which pretty much changed. Again, the entire team changed. Bearing in mind, we've still got a load of players still out because of they've been playing at the Euros. So we changed to we kept a 4-2-3-1. So we had Daniel Amartey at the back, Filip Benkovic as the centre back as well, Vontae Daly-Campbell as your right fullback, Luke Thomas as your left fullback. Then you've got Wilfred Ndidi as your CDM, Keenan Dewsbury-Hall as that number 8, which is the position we've been looking to play him in as well. Kelechi Iheanacho and Thanas Sejjuwan as kind of your cam roles, and then Carmel Soa and I've got him in twice there. So it's kind of 4-2-3-1 with Kelechi Iheanacho on that left-hand side to kind of drag you back as well, and Thanawatt in the middle, and then Jamie Vardy up top. The first 10 minutes I was like, this team is completely different. And I think Jamie Vardy was a lot to do with that. He's kind of the talisman of the Leicester squad. He is the reason what made Leicester tick. And I know we had Daka, we know we have Jamie Vardy, but everybody looks towards him and everybody looks for him to be the main talisman to go, right, we'll give you the ball, we'll do whatever we can and get the ball into the back of the net. It didn't quite happen in the first half. We didn't have too many opportunities on goal. Again, this is a second string team, to be honest. In parts, it's just kind of Frankenstein team that's thrown together. So I didn't expect too much about it. A couple of points in as well. Hassan Ali says, "What do you think of Benkovic?" I didn't think he was too bad. He's the kind of player that was. I don't think he'll stay. I mean, if you're going out to Leuven and not playing for them, I know there was a little bit of farce because the manager wasn't playing players that came from England. But I mean, he didn't do anything special. He didn't do anything. He did one thing a bit wrong. I think he left a back pass in. However, he did that pass, I think, over to Vontae Daly-Campbell or Soa. I can't remember which one, but I think both of them. 60-yard pass, and he just nailed it, no problem, which I thought was really impressive. If we're going to consider him, I don't think so. I think Brendan Rodgers knows him from Celtic and has made up his mind that he probably isn't getting in the squad. Just coming on to that side, Dave Kante's thing again. I was also glad to see Benkovic. He did pretty well, in my opinion. Hopefully the resurgence of the career. I don't really think that Leicester is really the career he's going to go. He's just going to be one of those players that most of our transfers work. This one hasn't. I don't think there's anything bad about him. However, he just didn't pull up any routes or do anything spectacular. But it is first game of the season. He has the ability, as you were saying, there is a resurgence potentially, but we will have to see because obviously he's been through. And you got to remember that he comes through, but he's injury prone as hell. And if we're wanting somebody that's going to make us compete, if we can have a lot of people, and with his injury record, it's not looking the best as well. Two through balls from Benkovic. I think, again, they were not bad. However, overall, I'd give him a 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10. Defensively, he was relatively solid. They didn't really have too many opportunities to really come through that midfield. Daniel Amartey held his position well. We know what we're going to get with him. And so I think we'll move on from that. Again, we'll move on to the fullbacks. Daly-Campbell, I mean, bearing in mind, he hasn't had many times, but what a performance. I mean, really, really impressed with how he got up and down the line as well. Not just in terms of, you can always bomb forward, but he was always back doing the defensive work and stuff at the same time. And I thought he was great, to be honest. I really, really did. And with what he was doing and how he was doing it, I can't really complain because he was doing a lot of the dirty work that they do. But what I loved about him was his physicality. I'm just trying to find the notes now. He looked like a solid player. He was physical. Defensively, he was really solid. The only thing was he could potentially put in a bit of better crosses. He was always hitting the first man for the most part. However, I think his battling and his ability to get stuck in what we want, I think that was fantastic. And I really, hopefully, we'll see the best of him, to be honest. But yeah, I can't really complain with how he played because he did do, in my opinion, pretty well. Then on the other side, something I will just try and get on some of your comments because I've seen a few people in the comments. Harry Christian puts in Luke Thomas was good. I think somebody else puts in as well. Joe Hunter as well puts in Luke Thomas was our best player. He was fantastic, I think, in my opinion. He was a really good player. And there was a few people, I'm not going to name names, who were writing him off. And I feel like coming into this season, there's always a scapegoat for Leicester City. And this season, I feel like it will be Luke Thomas, especially towards the beginning when the likes of Bertrand and Bertrand won't play as much, and James Justin's obviously out with that horrific injury, and hope he gets better from there. But some of the balls he was doing, the defensive work, again, for both of the fullbacks in the second half were something to really admire. Daly Campbell, obviously one side, but Luke Thomas, some of the balls he was touching through, some of the crosses he does was really good. His ability is something we haven't really seen before. I know it was a lower league opposition and it's pre-match, but to take on a player and run past them and then put in the cross and get into that position, I thought was really, really good in my opinion. So it was great to see him. Wilfred Ndidi was dictating that play, something that I've not really seen him do too much before in terms of Yuri Tillemans is normally that main person there that will take the ball and just give it wide, give it wide. And in terms of that, Ndidi has that experience now where he's been in the team for a while. He's got the ability to pick up the ball, give it me and let me spray it wide. And it's something that I expect from Dewsbury Hall, which I'll probably get into in a second. But just back to one of your comments as well. Diego Kante says, yeah, Luke Thomas all over the place. I think he means it in a good way. I agree. Great offensive production, defensively solid. He continues to look up where he left off last season. And that's pretty much it. I think he looked very, very good, to be perfectly honest with you. But yeah, we've covered Luke Thomas. We'll move on to Wilfred Ndidi. Again, a solid performance. Something that we've seen, we know from Wilfred Ndidi, the levels that he sets, and his abilities are so high. In my opinion, last season, he did drop his levels a little bit. He still was fantastic. He was great. He was 8 out of 10. But because he sets his levels so high, he did drop a little bit, in my opinion, last season. Maybe it's down to the injuries. Maybe it was down to a couple of other things. We don't know. But it didn't quite happen. But in this case, defensively, he did really well. He was spraying the balls, to either wing. We'll come on to some of the wingers in a second. But yeah, I can't really complain, to be honest, in terms of, again, I've seen all the things about penalties. We'll get onto the penalties. Give me a couple of minutes while we just go through chronologically in sort of the squad. And then over to, so we've done Wilfred Ndidi. Keenan Dewsbury Hall, I think, was pretty good. I was expecting more of a leadership position, but again, it's pre-season. There's still a lot of opportunities for him to improve and move up and move on to the next level, in my opinion. But in this, I think he took time to grow into the game. He was a little bit missing at the beginning, but the more he grew into the game, the more he played, the more he's like, right, okay, I know what I'm doing. And he was giving like these 10-yard, 5-yard passes. And then afterwards, we were seeing his link up with Luke Thomas. Now, I'm thinking, especially with the Europa League, where we saw the emergence of the duo of Luke Thomas and Harvey Barnes. Now you're putting Keenan Dewsbury Hall, bearing in mind they all come from Leicester. They're all through the academy. They all grew up together. They've got this synergy and they've got this chemistry where they can, especially on that left-hand side, they can just spray the ball, know where each other are and get the ball in. So I'm really excited to see about Keenan Dewsbury Hall's development. But he's looking like a great player. Bearing in mind, it's 45 minutes. And again, just to say to it once again, it's just a preseason game. It's our first game back. We've only trained for 10 days, I think 11 days since we first trained. So there is plenty of time and plenty of opportunity for the players to grow and build into the game. We've mentioned some of the players in the first half. Then we had Thanawat Suchidawon. Again, didn't really do anything too impressive. I mean, it's a big step to go from the under-23s, where he's been doing some decent football. And then I know that, what's it called? Fox in the Box is a big fan of Thanawat as well. So he finally got his start, which I think they're really proud of. And he was on the bench a couple of times as well. And then Thanawat didn't really pull up any trees, didn't really do anything right, didn't do anything wrong. I kind of lost him for some of the matches. But again, I'm trying to update people on what is actually happening, but at the same time, not be too critical. Because again, it's the first game of the season. Kelechi Iheanacho didn't do too badly, all things considered. He was in some good positions, especially dropping deep, where we've seen him do that last season as well. Dropping deep, spraying the ball wide, playing on the left and the right-hand side, playing in that inverted winger sometimes positions, or playing in that number 10, which I think he didn't too bad. It was, again, it's a training exercise just to come into this. Abdul's mentioned the number 17 was good. I don't know his name. His name is Manwahise, Maswanhise. I think it's Manwahise. He's from Zimbabwe, so good talent potentially. Again, there's a big step to go, just like Luke Thomas did, to go from the under 18s to leapfrog the under 23s and come into the first team. So he could be one for the future, playing on that left-hand side. We've only got Harvey Barnes there, so potentially they could be looking at somebody to bring in that in case we have an injury to Harvey Barnes, heaven forbid. But we do need strength and depth in that position, and maybe that's a player we could play. Anyway, hi Glenn, hope you're doing well as well. Not really bothered about this. I expected what I expected really will improve by Wickham, QPR, Villarreal. Pretty much. I think that was something that I was that I'm really trying to get at. I'm not trying to criticize people too much. I'm not trying to hammer them in that, oh, this is the worst performances. It's a preseason. I was just happy to hear the fans back, happy to hear that they were going through. Now that's what I call the best of Leicester chance, which I was like, this is good fun. Not booing the away players every time they go for the kick. It's all good fun, and nobody's really taking it too seriously, to be perfectly honest with you. And then Jamie Vardy. Jamie Vardy is Jamie Vardy. Do I really need to say more? He knows what he's doing. He's a lovely old lad. He knows what he's doing, and it looks like he's recovered from that hip injury and he's ready to go once again. And that's great for when we want to hit the ground running, because Daka is going to take time to adapt to the Premier League and adapt to the physicality of English football, just like Ricardo did. If you remember when Ricardo played against Wolves, he had a woeful game. We ended up winning the game 2-0, and it was one of the luckiest games I've ever seen. Ricardo wasn't that good. Neither was Johnny Evans. Now look at them. They're pretty much... Oh, Johnny Evans is an obvious starter, and same with Ricardo and the levels that they go up. So give them time, give them a few games, and you will see this team develop again and again. So don't worry too much. But it's really good to see some of the youngsters, and also he's throwing some of the players in and going, show me what you can do. Now you've got the opportunity, like the likes of Tillemans, Schmeichel, Ward, who else who's away on international duty, Dennis Pratt. So all these players are away on international duty, so he's given the opportunity to some younger players. So it is what it is. Let me get back to some of the comments, because there's one player that I wanted to mention. Deathstrike puts Sal was pretty impressive. I wasn't blown away by him. I've heard that in Belgium he was known as the man with 3 lungs, so he always was running. But yeah, it was okay. All things considered, he was on that left-hand side. I would have liked to see him take on a player more, and that's something that we've seen with Harvey Barnes, where it's developed, where he was a little bit scared at first to go. Well, he just needs to own it and go, right, I'm going to take on a player and just dash at them. A lot of the times his passing was coming sideways. However, his positional-wise, I think defensively, because at times when they were attacking, we pulled back and he pulled back as well. But also coming up to the byline, when the balls were coming over, I think from Benkovic I was mentioning earlier, it was to Soa over in that position, holding the ball, passing the ball. I thought he was quite good, to be perfectly honest. Nothing to really shout about, but it's just going to take time. Remember this performance and what we did, and obviously it's completely different. If you guys, for me, this is the first preseason I'm watching really intently, because I'm doing content for you guys as well. So if you could like and subscribe, all that good stuff, we really appreciate it on this channel. We've got some good videos coming in next week as well, so make sure you stay tuned for them. One's already up on the channel in terms of one of the previews, so you make you aware of that. There's 30 of you watching, which is thank you so much for that as well. I really didn't expect anything to come from this, but if you could all like and subscribe, it means the world to us, helps us build the channel so we can give more content towards you guys as well. So thank you so much for that. Yeah, Jamie Vardy does what it is. Come on, Soa. Some of the balls, as I was saying, he was coming on the inside a little bit more. And that's not a bad thing. It's just going to take time to move inside to side. And apart from that, that's pretty much everybody that played. Oh, Daniel Iverson. Didn't do anything wrong in the first half, the second half of the football. It was not too bad, all things considered. We'll get to see some of our youngsters in the games. Exactly, Adol. We've seen some of the youngsters as it is. So it's not that bad. And we'll get onto the penalties in just a second as well. So I know I'm talking about that. Diego says, so was cutting a lot, but there was end product, especially when he brought in the lower powered cross to Varbs. Yeah, that was one part. I think there's a lot more to come from him. I think in terms of the way that Soa plays, there's a player in there. And the same with Manwahis, who actually had another good game as well. These two players are going to generate. But if they stay potentially, because Soa's in this weird position where he's come from the first division of Belgian football, I don't think we will give him away, but I think we'll keep him this season and try and develop. Because bearing in mind, we've got nobody on that right-hand side apart from Morco Brighton. And on that left-hand side, we've only got Harvey Barnes. We've got nobody else. So if we've got the option, then we'll go for it. But I think that was everybody. Daniel Iverson had not a bad game, but until the penalties. Right. Let me get all your comments up from the penalties. I watched it and went, what the hell was that? I guess It wasn't good. It really wasn't good. I mean, the first person was Thanawat to step up, which I went, really? I just didn't expect Thanawat to step up for the first penalty, but he did. So since he did that, he missed. So it wasn't a great penalty. The positioning wasn't the best. It was thrown on him a little bit. So, but the fact that he's going up for the first one, and I think the way that Brendan Rodgers does them, he asks the players who wants to take a penalty. So I'm glad that he put his hand up and go, I want to do it, and I want to show you that I want to be part of this team. I'm putting what's spin on it, but as Glenn said earlier, it doesn't really care. It doesn't really matter. However, if we do win this Vars base trophy, what's it go? Like, I'm not bothered about this. It was what I expected exactly. It's just a training game, and it's just training for the fans and just like myself to try and get back into doing commentary and stuff. And hopefully, in the next couple of videos, we'll have a few more people on to do some commentary as well with me. So it's not just, you don't just have to listen to my stupid voice over and over again. Thomas penalty he placed it as well. Wasn't a good penalty. Again, these guys are young, man. So it's like the whole England situation. I just really don't want them to hear any abuse or anything, because it's just not worth it, all things considered. The penalty wasn't good from Thomas. It was, if the goal was here, it was like here. I'm trying to get this for the camera and get it right. It wasn't, and it wasn't enough power. If you look at the likes of Jamie Vardy, they put their foot, they don't change their mind, put their foot through it, stick it in the top bins, and that's just going to take time. You know, he wasn't very good, all things considered. Then Iverson, bearing in mind we missed 3 penalties in a row. I mean, Kelechi Iheanacho, I mean, that was a bad miss, really was. But we know he's a confidence player, and we've seen him do it at Crystal Palace in December, and we were all writing him off. Well, I was. Us at Leicester beyond the 90 were writing him off, in my opinion. We were going, right, this guy needs to move on. He obviously isn't improving, and then he went on another run and helped us win that, helps win the FA Cup and get us into the top 5. I mean, he was absolutely fantastic. Which, anyway, but it wasn't a good penalty, all things considered. Again, asterisk. This is a pre-season. Doesn't really matter, all things considered. Iverson, with that penalty after the Thomas penalty, what a save. What a save from the penalty. We need to go back and watch that again. I can't show you on here, but if it's on Leicester TV or YouTube, or you'll be able to find it, and somebody will probably timestamp the penalty as well, make sure you go and watch that, because my God, was that a good penalty. That was a really, really good penalty save, should I say. And then on to the last couple of ones. Sorry, I'm just going through my notes once again. But yeah, I was surprised that the last one, KDH, good penalty, all things considered. Really good penalty, good placement, good power, right in the corner, so it bounced off the post and get in. We actually scored that one, and then I can't remember who the player was afterwards that scored it for then. But I just want to get back to some of your comments. Aaron, I remember, puts, what penalty was that? It wasn't very good from Nacho and from Nacho especially, but Thomas could be doing better. But that was it. Jones that was quite a poor game. I don't think it was a poor game. It was, but it's pre-season. If we're playing like that in the Premier League, then we're going to come out and criticise them more. But it's not. It's the first game they've come back. They've not played since May. So it is what it is. Harry Butts' penalties were shocking. They really weren't. How did we lose? It's pre-season. They've had 4 games. It doesn't really mean that much a thing. We don't want to be one of the fan bases. Like, look at Arsenal Twitter when they lost to Hibernian and everything had a meltdown. It's really not worth melting down about. So I want to concentrate on some of the positive, which I have done so far. But the more this team plays together, the more they train together, the more the pre-season goes on, you'll see certain forms working, certain formations working. We're still playing 45 minutes game in, game out, just to get the legs, just get the stuff into the players' legs as well. Let me see if I can find some more comments. Apologies if I missed you. I'm trying to go through all the comments at the moment. Again, if you got swear words in, I won't put them in. So just let you know. Penalties were terrible, as Yeti Boy said, but Burton deserved the win in normal time, in my opinion. Yeah, it's a pre-season game. They've had 4, we've had 1. They kick off slightly earlier. I think the Championship and League One kick off before us. It's all things considered. And exactly, as long as we're ready for Man City and Wolves, I'm not bothered. The Charity Shield will mean a lot to the fans, and hopefully we can get tickets and get that Charity Shield, because then people won't remember this. And it's a trophy I didn't even know existed. I don't know about you guys until a couple of days ago, until I was doing a video with Ant on Ant's Leicester fan channel. That's his new name. So make sure you go and subscribe to him. I think there's a link in the description as well for go and subscribe to him. Exactly. It's just getting back into it. So at the end of the day, it's pre-season. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. As Wilo says, we lose for Man U lost 4-2 at QPR. I don't know when that was, but who cares? It doesn't matter. What was that for the Pens? It wasn't good. I'll be honest. Is Soa replace Mahrez? Not anytime soon. I mean, from what we hear, we've done a video on it yesterday with Ant, who's a big fan of Pereira, as in Mateus Pereira, because I know we've got Ricardo Pereira from Brazil. We're looking to put an official bid in as exclusive this maybe recently. So stay tuned for that one. There'll be an update maybe next week to see, because it's us and West Ham, and there's another club from Saudi Arabia or somewhere in the Middle East that we're going to offer him 400 grand a week. But if he has any kind of dignity for his career, he won't go. If he wants to go for the money, I don't blame him, but go. Anyway, we'll get to there. Anyway, go back to your comments. Ibuka says, great potential. He really is. And it's different to watching a highlight than actually watching 45 minutes of actual football. And in this case, you're right. In terms of Samore, I think he is a real talent. And I think he will come on leaps and bounds, but give him time. Bayern Munich wanted Soa before we signed him. That's really interesting. I didn't know that yet. Well, thank you so much for that. I know that we've had a few players that have been wanted. I think Barcelona wanted Hamza Chowdhury at one point. I mean, but they're in all sorts of financial problems at the moment. Kelechi straight up skied his penalty into the car park. He really did. It was not a good penalty, to be honest. And KDH is better than Maddison at pens at least. Maddison gets a lot of. What I'm trying to think of. Well, I think you would use. Alex would use the word malarkey at the moment. But yeah, I think it's a penalty. We've not been training for it. Don't worry too much. It doesn't really matter all that much. Ian, good afternoon. Hope you're doing well, mate. Hope it's not Nacho's confidence. I know what you mean, but in time he will change and he will get better. Because with the likes of Nacho, Brendan Rodgers knows exactly what he's doing with him. And in the match, he did look okay. He did look quite good, to be honest. And he's obviously realised that Daka's come in and Vardy's obviously there and he wants to play. And he was having a go and taking players on, dropping back. He was the same Kelechi Iheanacho as we saw last season, which is brilliant to see. Again, he will come on in and out of form. He just naturally will do. Nacho apparently hasn't landed yet. Yeah, it was not a good penalty. But to just reply to the same thing that Ian says, it wasn't the best. Rennie says, I feel like Daka needs confidence when he sees Vardy. I think it's not even confidence. I think it's just time and physicality. Getting used to the team, getting used to playing English football, because it's notoriously physical. And that's something that changes from the other leagues. And we're going to get there eventually. Leicester should sign Chukwueze. I'm not actually sure who that is, so I'll have a look into that after the video and comment on to you. But plays, he didn't play very well, but as we talk about Daka will be fine. Give him time. We'll get there. Look, it took Kelechi Iheanacho how many years? 4 years to get it right, and we finally managed to find a way that clicks. Daka will not be as long as that, but from what we've seen, from the pace that he's got, he's fantastic. And again, that's what Chukwueze is saying. He has great potential. Chawanzi, sorry, I'm trying to terrible with names. He has great potential, and I think he will be a star for Leicester City. Some of the pace and some of the runs and some of the backtracking he was doing, I was really impressed. Really impressed, considering it's a preseason friendly. And I think that's a good place to end. So if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and a like, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're going to try and do one of these videos after every match and just kind of fill you in. And if you've got any more questions, let us know in the comments down below. We'll try and cover some of them, especially some of the transfer rumors, because there's a load going around at the moment, a load of different players. But we only bring you sources and things that we know on this channel. So there's going to be 1,000 different rumors for 1,000 different players. Kabak was one of them that was serious, then that got shut down, so we don't cover that anymore. We're not going to try and beat a dead horse. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, leave us a comment, tell what you think. Thank you all for joining. I know you're not used to just seeing one person on the screen, so thank you for checking out my stupid voice once again, and I'll see everybody in the next video.